right. So we're back. Another fun-filled podcast coming at you. We got a thought process. Both had some busy weekends with our kids and some of the things that go on. And today's topic is sports and kids. When did it get so crazy? And really what we're talking about is, I mean, when we all played youth baseball, youth basketball, everything, you had a game here and there. You went to practice and that was that. Then you went home and you played with your neighborhood kids and you just had the regular fun that you knew as a kid. And now it's turned into a factory of practices and games and uniforms and gear and special training centers and all the above. So it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart as someone that got home last night at almost midnight after a night game of 9-year-olds. Where it just took forever. So let's get into this.
Out.
Yeah, well, and that's the weird thing is that I think yesterday was the last day of school for most kids, which thank goodness, but long day for parents, long day for the kids. So, John, what do you think, buddy?
I think that we had a lot of conversation before this to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And, the other side of this too is just getting into the mentality, like the mindset that a lot of people go into these youth sports, right? The parents, the coaches, the players, and just seeing it from all different sides and having the experience, right? We've both coached sports. We've both had kids be coached by other sports or by other coaches. We've all been in the stands. We've all seen all the ins and outs. And there are so many things that are just ridiculous.
Yep.
That we've come across that we're going to explore.
Oh yeah.
So
I went online. We try to do a little bit of research for this stuff and get more facts than just our opinions on this. And I thought, well, let's just figure out what is children's sports. So I found a thing, NSCH. I should probably find out who that is, but it's the internet, so I'm sure it's 100% right.
100%.
Found that an estimated 53.8% of children from ages 16 to 17 played on a sports team and took lessons as of 2022. So 53.8 or 53.8%, which equates to roughly 23 million or 26.8 million kids that participated in some sporting event, while 23 million did not.
Is that per year?
That was in 2022.
Yeah, okay. So that's, yep.
And then the next one, and this is the part that kills me and why when I think of how crazy sports has got, about 70% of kids drop out of organized sports by the age of 13 and the so-called professionalization of youth sports. And that's probably the best part of that quote is the professionalization of youth sports. Like Jimmy's going to go out there and we're going to have him play, and win or lose, he's going to hang out with his buddies and he's going to have some fun. And they say win or lose, doesn't matter. It's all about fun. Well, I'm a little competitive there, so it is about winning, but not at the expense of fun and not at the expense of beating a child down with the idea that winning is all that. But I can understand that 70% of the kids drop out. And again, I don't know, it doesn't say why, but if I look at some of the things that I've experienced, it almost makes you want to cry and at the same time want to laugh that I've watched some of these coaches that it's all about winning. It's all about winning. And again, this is 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, whatever, all the way up to high school, where they will only play the best. And the kids that are mediocre and the kids that are, they're not that bad, they rarely ever play. And we can look at it two ways. Okay, well, that kid doesn't play because he doesn't want to play. I mean, they show up to practice, and it's not like they were like, ooh, I'm ready for practice. Like, let's go, coach. No, mom and dad dropped them off, and it's social hour for that kid, and he has no enthusiasm to the sport. He has no skill level for the sport. You could tell dad doesn't work with him, or for that matter, mom doesn't work with him. So they get dropped off. So now it's coach's responsibility. So coach doesn't want to deal with them. It's not his kid. Or her kid. So for some reason, he just sits, he gets in when the mandatory league says they have to play a minimum of X minutes per game or innings or whatever it may be. But the coach continues to focus. It's all about winning. It's all about building a great thing. We want this W on our record. And I sometimes I watch and I think, yeah. And I'll ask you the question because I asked this to some parents last night at a game. Tell me your fondest when you were 8 years old on whatever sports you were on. Let's say baseball. You played baseball when you were 8?
Basketball at 8.
Okay, fine. Basketball. Tell me your fondest memory when you were 8 of your best win or your worst loss. Do you remember?
Dude, no.
Right.
I know, nope.
Right. So we emphasize that it's all about a win, and we had a great season, and we had this and we had that. And I sit there and think, who fucking cares? Like, I get it. I want to show the kids how to have a good time, and I want to show the kids how to do all these things and what winning's about and winning the trophy. And I don't get me started on the whole trophy thing. We already talked about that. But, I look at some of it and I think, are we actually going into this with the mindset that we're teaching, or are we just stuck in our own head with win at all costs, like reliving our youth, and we got to do it through our children?
What's funny is, like, I am a competitive person, right? I like to win. I know kids like to win too,
Sure.
right? Like, in the moment, at least, right?
Yep.
And again, like, I look back at my entire career of playing sports. I barely remember who my coaches were.
Yeah.
I don't remember a whole lot from my youth sports, at least not until like high school,
Yeah.
But there are, like, I remember growing up and there was these coaches. There was one particular, I remember one coach, and he wasn't my coach, but I remember him because that's what he would do. And if you were losing or if you made a mistake or anything, he would scream. I mean, he'd get so fired up, his face would turn red, like his veins would start popping out, like he'd be screaming at these kids. And they were young. And he'd be the guy who would sit out the worst, play the best, and then just incinerate everybody who was not best. And like, that stood out more than anything else. And I couldn't stand this guy. And it's just like, now I'm looking back, and I'm like, how crazy was that?
Yeah.
Like, his kids were like 10 years old, man.
Yeah.
And he's screaming at them like they're professional players making an error on the field, right? It just blows my mind, just still seeing that whole mindset where winning takes precedence over everything, especially in youth sports, where, like you said, it gets to a point sometimes where, there's that in my mind as a coach and as a father of an athlete, there is a line between wanting to win and wanting to have fun, right? Because some kids take that wanting to have fun and they go out there and play with the daisies, and they're doing, twirlies in the outfield, or, kind of not paying attention with their glove off, or, they're playing basketball and they're on the wrong side of the court and they're just kind of dancing and prancing around, right? So, like, there's that. I don't even think that's the borderline between winning and having fun. I think that's just like the borderline of safety. But, it shouldn't come at the sacrifice. We talked about this. This is one of my arguments last week, was there has to be something to motivate the kids to want to keep coming back, or else 70% of them are going to keep dropping out. Right. By the time they're 13. They didn't even get to experience what a real sport is yet.
Sure.
Right. At 13, I mean, like, it's not that competitive yet at 13.
No. And you don't have your skill level down yet.
Yeah. You're still working on fundamentals. And that's the other thing too, is these coaches will drive and drive and drive and drive, and the kids are just beaten. You said over the weekend, how many games did you play over the weekend?
2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. On Monday, a Tuesday. We actually have tonight off. We got another game tomorrow.
Dude, 9 years old. That kid is
baseball.
beat down.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. I couldn't play that many games with my energy level today. Right. And winning or losing, it doesn't matter. Like, that is insane.
Yeah.
And pushing these kids that hard, of course they're going to quit.
Right.
I don't want to do this.
Part of that is when you're in that, and it's not to call out the specific team or whatever team it would be. It's what's the goal? I mean, I'm a big, my coaching and consulting I do for my day job. Everything I ask when we start a meeting or we start anything is, what's the objective? What's the goal? Where are we headed? And in youth sports, I think what it's turned into is it's this glorified, warriors mentality, win at all costs. And I think that teaches greatness. I do. I'm in your boat. I think, being competitive and learning how to to fight against the odds and win is everything. And it becomes a life kind of journey of what you're trying to do. But there are children that at the ages of 7 and 9 and even 13 or 14 that haven't gotten that spark yet, but they were blessed with a talent that hasn't been uncovered, but it never gets uncovered because, like this thing says, 70% dropped out. I mean, if you're not going to play a kid because he doesn't have the same exceptional abilities as Billy, and Billy just happens to be a man child when he's 10 years old and he hit puberty and oh my God, he's huge. So of course he's going to be an amazing football player and he gets to do this and he gets to do that. But Billy peaked at 12, where when Kenny shows up, Kenny doesn't hit puberty until he's 15, 16, 17 in high school. And now he's a giant. He's massive. But guess what? He's not even on the team anymore because his coach didn't believe in him. His coach didn't even spend the time to work on fundamentals with him. So he quit. And that's where I watch these sports and I think, come on, coaches. Like, at what age do you look at the child and ask yourself, okay, what does this kid need? What spark can I put into him? How do I work with him and not put it on his shoulders?
Dude, it's a pure lack of leadership skills.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Oh yeah,
right. And you said it the best. The fact that not every kid is born with innate talent to play sports, right? And even if they are, some of them are shy. They're not confident in themselves because nobody's actually sat and worked through the fundamentals with them, right? Or at least to a level where they get more confident, right? We know confidence is competence in action, right? Like, it's just doing things over and over again until you get better at it, and you get better and you feel better about doing it. And a lot of these kids haven't done it enough to feel confident about it. I've worked with a kid who was pitching, and he just had a lack of confidence. He was a good pitcher, but he'd get out on the field and he'd start to slow down, throw wild, all this stuff. And I see it all the time, right? Like, I'm coaching right now, and these kids, they get out on the field and they do nothing that they practiced. Nothing like what they practiced, right? Practice swings, nothing. They choke up, they freeze because they don't have the confidence yet. And for some of these coaches, they see that and they're like, okay, he just doesn't have it. Bam. You know what? You're going to go to the bottom of the lineup. You're going to sit on the bench more than everybody else, right? You just don't. If you wanted it, you'd do more, right? You'd practice more. And I think that's such a disgrace to what youth sports should be, in my mind, which is the development of stronger, faster, better young individuals who are going to become adults. Right.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that becomes the sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
I don't know that it's a conscious thought on coaches, because I've coached and I continue to coach. And there's times where, hey, there are certain kids on the team, and I'll be straight honest. I wish their parents would take them off the team.
Oh yeah, no.
Sure. when you're in a travel team and you're in one of these leagues where you're paying big dollars and you're doing all, most of the players are pretty good. So it's rare that you're going to have the kid you're worried about, like they're going to get hurt or they're going to get injured. But when you're in a rec league or you're in some just youth sports, whatever, yeah, there's that. I signed my kid up because I want him to try. You're absolutely right. It should be. Whereas a coach, now I go to the opposite side, is now you're stuck. Like, league says they have to play this many times. And as much as I want to support this kid and take care of this kid and boost them up, most of the time when they're on the court or on the field or on whatever it may be, whatever the venue is, it's a panic. Like, this kid's going to get killed. If it's baseball, he's going to get a line drive off the melon. Or he's up at the plate and he's just not quick enough to duck. He's going to take a pitch off the back or whatever it may be. Or in basketball, it's an aggressive sport. Football, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's all these, and obviously I'm talking about boys sports. It goes into girls sports as well.
Same thing.
So there's that side of the game, but it's the coaches knowing, okay, how do I use this kid and build up that self-esteem? And I'll give you a point. We had a coach in basketball, again, no names, we had a couple young men that were like that. Just they're not athletes, and I know that mom and dad put them on the team because they wanted to be social. And again, we're talking about 8 and 9-year-old basketball. I'm not losing my mind over this stuff.
Yeah.
But we finally got an opportunity where I told my boys, we're done shooting. We are done shooting. The ball goes to this kid and this kid, and that's it, because those kids never got the ball. They weren't aggressive enough to go get it. Well, it wound up, both of them scored, and you would think that I just handed them the winning lottery ticket to life's greatest thing. They got to speak to whatever God they wanted to. Like, this was the greatest moment of their life. And guess what? I can't tell you what the score was. I can't tell you if we won the game. I can't tell you if they held the game back, but I guarantee you that kid is probably going to remember, like, I finally scored. Like, I've been in basketball for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, from when I'm 4 years old. And I had to wait till I was 9 to score, but I scored. Like, I finally, and I even had parents come up to me after the game, like, nice job. And I'm not saying to say kudos to me, like, kudos to the kid. Like, he finally had the opportunity. And I don't know, maybe that takes him somewhere. Maybe that puts him in another level where his confidence now boosts because he was never a confident kid. But I looked at it like, this is freaking 9-year-old basketball. I hope he gets the opportunity to shoot, because kids aren't going to pass him the ball. Kids are not going to, they're not going to, okay, we're in the final moments. We only have, 28 seconds left, and they really want to win because kids are competitive. We're certainly not passing to that kid. Like, okay.
Dude, that's such a great feeling as a coach. And it isn't about the coach, but like, we had a kid like that in baseball who got his first hit ever. And this kid ran down first base, just like mind blown, like yelling, like, oh my God, I finally hit the ball. And it was great. But he wouldn't have experienced that,
Right,
if he wasn't encouraged to keep trying and swinging the bat.
right.
And
Well, and so I'll take that to the next level from a coaching standpoint. And I play both sides because I can understand, but I've been in that situation where I wanted to boost the kid that just didn't have it.
mhm.
Like, he needed a special situation. But and the other side of it is, there are other kids that have it, and they're just lazy. They just don't care, or they're not interested, or they don't want to play on this team because they think they're a level up, and the coach
Ooh.
allows them to just be that person, to kind of be the bully on the team, or the, I'm better than you and I don't have
Cocky
to.
little-
The cocky little asshole that, we all know who he is, and the parents think he's awesome, and
Mhm.
he's got all the gear, and he's got all the crap and all the bull crap, and there's those kids on the team, and what are you supposed to do there? I don't know, because you rely on that kid. He's the one kid that in the clutch moment he hits the winning bucket.
Right.
Or, in hockey, he's that kid that just skates faster than everyone. He can get around. It's like, please, please, please give it to him, because then we'll score and we'll win. But again, I don't know what the rules are and how to handle that.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to what you said in the beginning, right? And I've talked about this when we were talking about participation trophies, right? When I have those conversations with my kid, we go out on the field to win, right? So play like you want to win.
Yep.
Okay. But we're not going to sacrifice the other learning aspects of the game to win. I'm not going to just play my best players to win. I am not going to sit kids who want to go play certain positions just to win. I'm not going to yell at my kids for doing stupid shit that I probably would have made a mistake on too at some point in my career, for the sake of winning.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So, there's certain points where it's, and I'll be honest, like, that's where I go. It's like, when we go out on the field to play, we play to win. But winning isn't everything. Right.
Well, it is, but
winning, what, and this is totally a personal thing. It's like, what is winning worth?
Absolutely.
What is the value of winning, right? Is winning worth causing a kid to quit because you were a dick?
Yep.
Right? Because you were selfish and you were self-centered and you were caught up in your ego and you were whatever, and you sacrificed that, right? Is winning worth that? at 8 years old, at 9 years old, and 10 years old, right? In the majors, totally, right? Like somebody makes a bunch of errors and they don't want to be out on the field. You boot them,
Right.
right? That's Major League Baseball. You're paying
that's
them money,
that's
right?
business, right?
You know, but this kid just paid $80 to play in the league for the year, right? Might actually learn something, and you're just it's a rec league for most people,
Right.
How many people actually do private sports? Not nearly as many people that do rec leagues.
Right.
And I see some of the craziest stuff in rec leagues, right? But so I guess that's the question: is like, what is winning worth, right? Is it more important than getting that kid his first shot and seeing that expression and seeing him want to come back next year better, right?
Right. Well, and I think that's I think you're nailing it right there. Is what is the opportunity? And I say opportunity in the sense of we don't know when is that one time where that kid, the spark clicks. Did we extinguish that spark and they're just there because mom drops them off? Mm-hmm. Or did we take the time to say, hey, as a coach, my goal is to find the spark, is to find that talent, is to give that kid the opportunity. And this is where I would say, give that opportunity to fail. Meaning, you know what? There are a couple of positions. I don't know that I want him in there. I'm not going to put the kid who doesn't want to be there in the quarterback because it's too much pressure. He just doesn't have it. But to not give him the opportunity to catch the ball, to be a receiver, to call a route that it's his number and we're going to throw it to him. Those are those times where it's like, holy crap, I did catch it. And it was whether I got 1 yard or 2 yards, it doesn't matter. It's am I doing that? But my next part of that then is, and this will go into a whole nother discussion from coaches to parents.
Oh man.
Psycho parents.
I
mean, ridiculous, nuts parents. And I'm a parent on the sideline right now for my team and my boys' team. And we got great parents. I mean, phenomenal parents. Fun to hang out with, fun to party with.
That's all it's about.
But we watch some of the other teams, and I don't get it. You would think we're trying to rip kids' heads off when we're out on the field, the way they scream and carry on about whatever happened.
Dude, we just got done playing basketball over the winter. It was my kid's first year playing basketball, right? He's 7, right? So you got 6, 7, 8-year-olds out there playing.
Yeah.
We were playing this team. The coach, I wasn't coaching, but our coach was literally on the verge. It was a female coach. I don't know if that really matters, but she got caught up.
Yeah,
and
emotional.
These parents, and of course in this league, the coaches do the refereeing, right? One coach from each team does the refereeing. These parents from this other team were making such disrespectful comments to her and yelling at the kids, 7 years old, yelling at them, right? It doesn't even matter, right? Like the score, like the guy keeping score is only half paying attention. Like that's the type of league, right? It's just, who cares? And these parents are literally bringing this coach to tears because they're the shit that they're saying and yelling. And we're all looking at each other like, what? Like, what? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And that's not the first experience that I've had with that. It's not going to be the last because these parents are freaking nuts.
Yeah. Well, and that's my question. and I always joke and say, I probably had more fun in college than I needed to and pickled certain parts of my brain. And I think it's the caring part of the brain of giving a shit about things that don't matter. And it's kind of like what this life roast is about, is we make fun of things on a level of where people get so emotionally involved in something, but you're like, why? Like in parents and sports, I'll give you an example. We had, going on what you're saying, we had a baseball tournament. Yeah, busy as hell. 2 games Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and we wound up winning. It was awesome. But we're at one of these fields, baseball like setups where there's the 4 baseball fields where the home plates all meet.
Yeah,
and and everything goes out. So in that general area, it's like a city block. There's just people and everything moving around, and they're screaming because it's a foul ball, and everyone's heads up, because this ball's coming from all fields. And all of a sudden, there's a ruckus behind us. I mean, loud, people screaming and the whole deal. Well, it was parents and coaches. I don't know what the hell happened, but it wound up the entire coaching staff. And that's the funny part. We'll get into that as a whole nother topic. But staff meaning this is youth baseball and there's 7 and 8 coaches, dads or whatever, and they're all involved in whatever. All of the coaches got thrown out of the game from one team. They had to forfeit. And when you're thrown out, you're thrown out. You don't get to come back to the field, so you're out. And it's sad that they've made a rule. But if you watch this, it looked like a scene from the Middle East where they were arguing whose God was better, and they're all screaming at each other. And it was pretty much touch and go to the point where we thought, oh, shit, people are going to start throwing down. Well, now parents are screaming at each other. And again, then I look over at the field. It was 10-year-old baseball. 10-year-old baseball that they're losing their mind, whether the kid was safe or he was out. Are you fucking kidding me? That you guys are going to show your children that this is so freaking important that we will have our entire coaching staff kicked out because they're arguing, and there's the umpire. Couldn't be more than 15 years old. Probably making $23 to show up to the game. And he has people barking at him. Like, are you freaking kidding me? And I wrote down something here too that goes along and I just thought it was hilarious. Foul, she yelled. Travel, she urged. Just call it, she implored. Over and over throughout the game, the woman rode the ref, insisting that her team was not being treated fairly. Was it the NBA game or college game or even a high school game? Nope. 5th grade basketball game, refereed by 2 teenagers. Like, these are the parents and the coaches screaming their heads off. And again, it brings me back to my famous question. Tell me your worst and best time when you're in sports. You can't. But I'll remember that psycho mom.
All those kids on that team are going to remember that shit.
Oh, for sure. Remember your mom lost her shit because everybody slid into the home and he was safe, but the ump called him out and we lost the championship? Like, who fucking cares? Like, are you really, mom, dad, are you really that invested? Did you lose a fortune because your son got called out or got called safe or, didn't get the hoop or whatever because it was a foul? Like, oh my freaking Lord.
I am almost at a loss for words for that because, like, I get it. It's crazy. And it happens entirely too often. And you said it right. Like, there's the parents on the side. We talk about this stuff in our program, right? Like, you're either on the field or you're off the field. And I get so upset, like, when I'm out there coaching and I hear the parents out there just like saying all sorts of stuff and like trying to coach their kids from the stands and yell at the other kids and yell at the ump and all this stuff. And I'm like, just shut up. Just stop talking. If you wanted to coach, you should have signed up for coach.
Yeah.
Right? If you wanted to ump, you should have signed up to ump. Right? I'm sure they would have let you, even though you're 45 years old and they got a 15-year-old to do it instead.
Yep.
Sign up to ump. Get your ass out there, put on the gear, and do the job.
Right.
Or otherwise, just stop talking. Right? Because you're making a scene, you're making a fool of yourself, right? You're like worried about your kid being cool and fitting in and being safe and being the best player out on the field, and you're making a complete ass of yourself out in the stands, right? Because it's some kind of reflection of you. I don't know, right? Whatever reason it is that you're getting so worked up about it. Maybe you see it as some kind of insult to your ego.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, and you're getting worked up about it. And most of the other parents are just looking at you like you're a complete idiot.
Flaming idiot.
Like, I might yell at my kid, but what you're doing is a little excessive.
And here's the question. Ask this of professional sports and sports over history. How many times does the ref, the umpire, the judge, whatever, change whatever call they made because the parent screamed? Oh, you were right. My bad. They were safe. I didn't see it from my angle. I have only seen it from your angle. So I'm sorry, everyone. I made a mistake. Crazy psycho dad over here saw it better than I did. So let's change that. Are we all good with that? Okay. No.
Dude, it's only a matter of time before they start giving every parent in the stand a challenge flag.
We'll be in the videotape all day long. But those are the things. And I guess that's my question on here. And even from a life row standpoint is I'll look at the camera and ask this, like, why? Why are we so psycho with our kids' sports as parents that we feel entitled to speak our opinion out loud to a point where you're embarrassing everyone. And for what? Okay. To show us that you have the balls to stand up for your child. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your kid will remember that always. Like, I'm so proud of my mom for losing her mind. Speaking of moms, my wife, God love her. Boy, the conversations we have on the rides home. I mean, she is a Monday morning quarterback and just everything that goes on. But again, like, okay, so we're going to argue on the ride home about when someone shouldn't have played or who did this and who did that. Like, game over. Game's over. Why are we having this heated conversation? Like, let's move on. And you said it best. And I love this. If you can do it better than the coaches or the refs or whatever, the trainers, then do it. Do it. Like, sign up and be a coach. Sign up and be a ref. Sign up and be an umpire. If you can't, sit on the sideline and root on your son or your daughter and root them on in a way that is motivational and positive. And I for lack of a better way to say it, shut the fuck up. Like, oh my God, you're annoying. Like, just please root your child on, be that positive influence for all kids.
So there's a couple points here too, right? So, because a lot of these parents are like the ex-athletes, right? And so you get a handful of those where they think they know everything, right? And so they're trying to instill it or whatever. They're trying to be that aggressive teacher because they know they were there. They've done it.
Yep.
You know? And then you have the other ones, even those, who have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Right. I've in baseball, let's use baseball as an example, right? There are people, you know how the field is set up, right? You have a base, you have multiple angles. People will be sitting over here and the ump will call a ball, right? They see that it's between their knees and their chest. They think it's a strike.
Oh, yeah.
What they can't see is that it was a foot outside of the base.
Right.
And they're getting heated over it.
Yeah. Because
their perspective's skewed. And they're getting worked up over the fact that, well, it was straight from their angle, right? And it goes back to the thing where it's just like, just go out there and do it yourself if you don't think they're doing a good job, right? But then you have the ones as far as like, what drives me insane is when these parents, I sign up to coach, right? Because that's one of the things that I study. That's one of the things I learn. I train athletes periodically, right? Like, that's just something that I'm really into.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that I've learned to improve my athletes, their mindset, their ability.
Right.
A lot of these parents have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
None, zero.
Most of these coaches don't know what they're talking about.
Yep.
So they're saying things that have no relevance to what you're actually trying to teach them to do to be a better player. And you're psyching them out. You're confusing them, right? You're distracting them. I have parents who are yelling at their kids while they're up to bat. You don't think that's distracting them, right? Just swing, just throw a strike, just stay in the box. Well, that's not how you do it. Move your feet, move your bat, do all these things, right? And it's like they don't know how to set triggers with their kids where you can say one word, right? Like, we talk about triggers, we talk about visualization. Like, these are things that most people don't know about when you're trying to coach kids effectively. And they're just yelling things. You're just saying stuff. And then you see the look on the kid's face and it's just like, oh God, mom, shut up. Like, just stop talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, just leave me alone. Let me bat, right? And there's a guy who I just saw recently. He's just like, when the kid's up to bat, like, that's not the time to coach.
Right.
Let them succeed or fail on their own, right? And I'm not going to say I don't say things to my kid when he's up to bat, right? But I've set triggers with my kid where I don't have to. I just say bat back or something, right? Like, and he just does it, right? But like, most parents aren't setting those things with their kids. So they're just screaming words that have no effect because the kid most of the time doesn't even know what you're talking about.
But why do you think they're saying it? Why do you think the parents, I call those micromanaging parents. What do you think?
For that reason.
Do you think that they believe their words are actually helping their son or daughter?
Absolutely. I think okay.
That's fine.
I think most parents think that they're helping.
Right.
And I think they think at least that they're helping, right?
Sure.
for sure, right? Or otherwise they wouldn't do it, I think. And I'm not saying their intentions are wrong. I'm just saying know before you say shit.
Right. No, I'm with you.
You know?
And I asked this too. I have to start writing down these sources, but I watched some video the other day on YouTube where it was parents that were just lambasting their kid on the field. I think it was baseball. Talking about how they need to get down on the ball for a grounder, and they need to, they needed this, and when they swing, they have to drop back, and it was like they were the most professional, like they make videos themselves. They're so freaking good at it. And the coach finally called out the parents and said, "Okay, you're going to come out on the field, and you're going to show us how fucking great you are." And they sucked. I mean, they couldn't hit a pitch, and this wasn't even major league pitch. This was just a dad throwing balls. One dad roped one. It looked good, and he kind of had a little pump in his bones there, like, yeah, that's right. But the other stuff they did, it was like, okay, mom and dad, just because you watched a YouTube video, like, really? What, you're an expert now, and you're lambasting the kid 24/7 with and I call them micromanaging parents. Like, okay, you dropped your elbow. Hold on, you swung too fast. Hold on, you took your head out. Hold on. They're like, you think a kid's registering that?
It doesn't even make sense to them.
No,
because they haven't been taught that stuff.
My elbow, my head, my this, my that. Like, what? Parents, shut up. Sit on the sidelines. If they're not effective at this time, go home with them. Work on them. Do whatever. If you don't know how to do it, then hire someone to do it. But just sit there and listen to them. It's not even fun for the other parents. Like, stop, shut up. Like, please, just let your boy swing. You can tell he's intimidated. Like, they get up to this. I love this. They get up to the plate or they get out on the field. The first thing they do is look at their parents.
Oh my God.
Like, okay. Am I right? Am I good? Am I standing in the right spot? Like, just let them get up there. They've played enough times. They're safe. Don't worry, mom and dad. Like, leave them the fuck alone.
I've seen kids do that after every single play.
Mm-hmm.
Between every single bat, between every single hit, between every single shot, between every single throw, where they look for that approval, that validation to make sure that they're not in trouble or they're not going to be scorned for what they did wrong or
right.
To make sure that they're doing things right or like whatever. It's just like, again, first of all, let the coaches do what the coaches do, right? If you didn't trust somebody else coaching your kid, don't sign them up for sports without coaching.
Or coach yourself.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right.
Second, you got to let the kids play. Like, how are they going to learn, right? And sometimes I get to this point where, like, we got that kid who doesn't keep his glove on, right? Sometimes I get to this point where I'm just like, I've said things like 30 times, I'm going to stop yelling at you. You get hit with the ball.
You get hit with the ball,
right? Like, I'm sorry, but like sometimes I like to, I was going to say it earlier, is like sometimes I like to take the other approach where it's like, I like to let the failures and the losses be the lesson.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And some coaches and parents aren't willing to do that.
Yep.
Right? They just want to win. They just want, the kids to be perfect. But it's like the losses and the hurt and the mistakes and the errors and stuff, like those are the coachable moments.
Right.
And we don't allow that anymore. Everything has to be perfect all the time. And that's that approval seeking, right? With these kids, like, did I swing perfectly? Did I throw perfectly? Did I do these things perfectly? And it's like, well, sometimes not doing them perfectly is a better lesson than doing them perfectly, right? Because everybody's going to throw the ball perfectly once in a while.
Yep.
Right? Every kid can get on the mind who can throw 40 feet is going to throw a strike. It's the balls and the ground hits and the throwing too high. Those are the lesson moments. Right. But we don't allow that as parents and coaches. It's unacceptable.
Right.
But those are the growth opportunities.
Sure.
And most people just don't see that. They just fly off the handle for, well, my kid swung too early, I'm going to yell at him.
Yeah. But I take that. I was, as you're saying that, I was thinking about, okay, there are fundamentals in each sport that have to be honed. And as a parent, if you sat in a meeting and you were working on a spreadsheet or you were whatever, you're doing a presentation in front of 30 people in a room and your mom's on the sideline or your dad's over there going, no, you said 3 times. No. You're speaking too fast. Slow down.
Oh my God.
Hold on a second. Hold on. You need to, use your words at the end. Is like raise your voice so that people know that you're really trying to make a point. Like we wouldn't do it.
Did you imagine trying to do a speech like that?
Oh my God, it'd be hilarious. Like no, slow down, speed up. You're losing the crowd.
You're in a meeting. And I just think of like one of those commercials. You're like in a meeting giving the presentation, and you just got your mom dressed up in like the sports jersey over in the corner, just like
right.
Like,
but I'll give you this.
No, I'm just visualizing it. It's hilarious.
Even that point, like, and you said it best. Let some of the failures be a way to promote. We again, example last night. We have a young man that's pitching. He's not a normal pitcher, and I think I was telling John earlier than this. Last night was kind of because we had so many games. I think Coach said we're going to put some of the kids that don't normally pitch, or really are A pitchers, the guys that really know how to throw it and get it well in there. So they let some of the younger kids or the less experienced pitchers pitch. And this young man got in there, and his stress level was through the roof. Like this is a shining moment. Like he of course wants to, like, man, if I could show how awesome I am, maybe I can get it on a regular basis. Because every kid wants that.
Oh yeah.
That I really want to be that one. And he was struggling. And in most cases, any coach would yank him. Like, okay, not only are they putting on runs, but they're putting on runs we didn't need. And, the score was the score. We would have won anyway. But coach left him in. And you could tell this kid was struggling, but it was a shining moment for him that I'm not taking you out. So you need to relax and you need to just throw strikes. There's 7 kids behind you. They will get the ball. And if they don't, well, it is what it is. But we're not asking you to be the Cy Young winner. We're just asking you to throw the ball over the plate. And the pressure, oh my God, it was through the roof. His parents sitting next to me were all like, oh my God. But you know what? He did it. We got out of the inning. Yeah, they put a couple points on the board. We didn't lose the game. And I think that built something in him. And I told the coaches afterwards, nice job. Like, leave them alone. Let them figure out what stress is. Don't save them. But at the same time, what did he do wrong? And learn from it as a coach. And I say this to all coaches. And I think actually our coach at the time does this. If you don't have a clipboard or a piece of paper or your phone to write down shit.
Oh yeah.
That says, okay, this young man was struggling with X, need to work on this. Or notice this kid's got a hitch in his swing, or notice this, or when he shoots his jump shot, his guide hand is off in whatever you see. If you're not looking at that as an individual player to work with him at the next practice, one-on-one, not I'm just going to have him shoot it more the wrong way. Like, that makes no sense. It's like, do that. Mom, dad, if you're noticing your son is doing something or your daughter's doing something, we're not fixing it on the field. Make a mental note, write the shit down, and say we're going to do it at home where there's no pressure, and we're going to work with the kid, and we're going to teach them. And if you don't know how to do that, maybe that's the conversation. Hey, coach, I noticed he's got a little hitch in his swing. What do we do about that? If coach doesn't know, I guarantee he's going to go to YouTube or he's going to go to one of his buddies. He's going to find out. But it's like, stop coaching from the sidelines. Stop trying to fix them as they're playing.
When you said save, right? You said that word save, right? We, as parents, I think so many of us are like on this mindset where we have to save our kids from everything, right? We have to save our kids from embarrassment. We have to save our kids from loss. We have to save them from their discomfort. We have to save them from all these things, right? And so like that discomfort, that stress, that pressure, that all those things that they feel while they're out on the mound and stuff, we have to save them from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, maybe a part of it is distracting everybody and embarrassing ourselves. Maybe that's the reason why so many parents scream, right? It's to take the pressure off of them and put it on us. I don't fucking know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there's that mentality where we're like, we have to save them in the moment right now. They can't experience any kind of negative feelings or experiences, or else we fail.
Right.
And you can see that in the way that a lot of people respond and react to the things that are going on in the field, like the coaching from the sidelines thing. But you're right. Like, you're not going to change the way a kid bats mid-bat. You're not going to change the way the kid shoots mid-game. No. It's just not going to happen. You don't do that, right? You look at the pros, like they've been shooting the right way thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Nothing mattered before that, but they wouldn't have learned how to shoot it the right way if you didn't teach them. You just keep letting them do it the wrong way, they're going to keep doing it the wrong way. But that's during practice that you do that stuff.
Absolutely.
In the game, you can make minor adjustments here and there, right? Like I'm always yelling at the kids where the positions are. But outside of that, you know, and basic things like get your glove down, right? Like get your glove down.
Right.
Make sure we're going out there and being aggressive at the bat, right? Make sure you're taking shots that are open, right? Like small little things, but you're not going to change the way that the ball rolls off the kid's hand when he's taking a shot by yelling at him from the sidelines.
Yep.
During the game.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen, you know?
So there's a, it's not Field of Dreams. Oh, it's with Kevin Costner. He's a pitcher. Man, I suck at this stuff. I got to remember. We'll remember for another. I'll give him his glory. But he was a pitcher on a team, and he would get out there and he can hear the hecklers and screaming and everything that's going on, and for the pressure of being the pitcher. And then he has this line, and he would say, "Clear the mechanism." And somehow that told his brain, shut off the noise. And literally, as they played the movie, complete silence.
Yeah.
He doesn't hear. He just sees mouths chawing and da 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 da. And when I watched that, and I bring this up for a point. Wrestling in high school, gym's packed, people are screaming, everyone's this, and I'm out on the mat, and da, I heard nothing but my coach. Literally nothing. The girlfriend was in the stand. My parents are up there. Everyone's screaming. I'm this. Da, da, da. Heard nothing. And when last night we're driving home from the game, and I asked my son, when we're talking and jawing, and do you hear us? He's like, no. Sometimes I hear you, Dad. And I'm like, okay. But what do you hear? He goes, I don't. I'm like, yeah, okay. So if you don't, which I'm sure most players are like this, they're on the field. It's like the fence that goes around that baseball field is a sound barrier. Yeah, some people can get loud enough to get in their kid's head, but it's amazing how you're so involved in that sport, we don't realize that these kids don't hear us. So as much as we think we're coaching, they just hear Charlie Brown's teacher on the sideline, and like, okay, what are we doing? We're not really supporting. I think we're mouthing to show that we're involved in our kid, or we know what's going on. And we're trying to be the good parent, like I got you, or we're trying to point out that our kid maybe is not playing that well, or they're not doing something the right way. So we'll say it out loud to kind of comfort the child, or at least comfort what people think about my kid.
It's funny because like one of the things that I tell my kids, and I don't tell my wife or my coach this, but when he's like going out to pitch or something, ears closed, eyes open.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things, like just stop listening to everybody.
Yeah.
Shut everything out. Eyes open, ears closed.
Yeah, we call it pitch and catch.
Yeah.
Pitch and catch. That's all you're doing. If you're in the backyard, you're just throwing to your buddy. That's all you're doing. There's no one in the stands. There's no anything. You're just throwing to your buddy.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that too, like you said, like sitting on the side as a coach, I am constantly yelling these kids' names because they're in the wrong position, right? Yeah. You gotta move them to get them in the right position.
Sure.
Half the time, you can sit there and yell their name like 10 times, and they're just not listening. So the idea that maybe you're getting through to them, I'm telling you right now, they are looking at me. I am saying their name, and they are still not listening.
Right.
Most of the time.
Right.
Right. So the idea that we're going to scream at them from the side and tell them what to do when you think it's getting through, especially at that age, is
not
pretty insane.
Yeah, I don't think cognitively they understand what the hell's going on. They're not putting two and two together. They don't have a calculator out there. Like, what is he saying? Oh,
right.
Oh, I need to bend over. I need to do this. Oh, I need okay. It's not going to happen. So I think, and I'll get on another point here, which is still my fanatics and craziness on what are we doing to these kids? Kids don't have skills. You have to teach these skills. It can't be assumed that they understand what they did wrong. It can't be assumed that they're going to go home and work on that.
Right.
So unless we as coaches and parents can work with the child to make them better, but we're making them better for them. to understand that when they're out there, they have a role to take on. And if they're in a position, whether it's a point guard or it's a forward or it's a, if we're playing hockey or baseball or even freaking wrestling, if it's a singular type sport, practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's if you're not working with them, and my wife jumps on me all the time because I'm a workaholic and I don't work with my son as much as I should, and I have to. He's not going to fix himself. So why yell and scream? And coaches, having conversations with the kid to say why he failed is one thing. Okay, that's great. He should learn from why he failed. But if you don't teach him, and when I say teach, work with them, actually pull them aside, not during the game, but during practice, and say, okay, let's go through this. And again, perfect practice makes perfect. If you're not doing that, they're not going to go home and cognitively think, okay, I was doing this and coach said this is how I should do it. Okay, I'm going to correct that. It doesn't register. I don't know an adult that can do that. So it's, if you see something, I go back to my clipboard, write the shit down.
Yeah.
Like work with them, but don't have the expectation like, oh, I told you in the last game. Like, oh, thanks, coach. You told me. You're right. You know what?
Yep.
My bad. I totally forgot. Didn't do it once when I went home. My mom and dad didn't work with me. You haven't worked with me. So I know I should have improved, but I haven't.
Well, okay, dude. So like our league right now has no practices.
Yeah.
Right. And what's even crazier, so we have 3 games a week. No practice. We had like 2 weeks of practices before the season started. And what's funny is most kids get there about a half an hour before the game. You got the warm-up drills and all that stuff. And I see it on every single team does it. They do the same thing over and over again. Like it's the only 2 or 3 things that they do before the game, right? Prime opportunity to work with individual kids on certain things. And they do the same thing. They have them throw and catch for a little bit. They throw some grounders, maybe a couple pop-ups. They jog and stretch. And that's it.
That's it.
No kid is pulled aside. Why do you have 3 or 4 coaches on a team if you're not pulling kids aside to work on specific things, right? Like, so most kids I've noticed in our league don't even know when to cover second, shortstop, and second base.
Right.
Almost none of them.
Right.
And even if they do know, they don't do it because they don't practice doing it. Right. Most kids don't know what a cutoff man is. Right. Most kids don't even know how to step and throw still. A lot of kids still struggle with stepping and throwing.
Yep.
Because all they're practicing is picking up a ball off the ground and throwing it to first the wrong way. And you don't even take the time to stop them when they do it wrong. And to get them, you do like the shuffle step, all these. And I always use baseball because I'm in baseball right now.
Yeah.
That's just the current thing.
Right.
But this applies for everything, right? Like if you're doing the same thing and they're fundamentals, they should be repeating the same stuff over and over again. But a lot of these coaches aren't taking time to actually teach the things that they're yelling about the kids doing on the field during the game.
Right.
When are they working on it? When?
I agree.
Right. If they're not doing it at home, you're not doing it before or after the game, and you're going to yell at them every single game for doing the same thing. What do you expect to change?
Right.
That they're going to go home, like you said, they're going to go home, open up a YouTube video, and be like, "Oh my God, I totally get it now."
Right.
That one guy who's 35 years old and used to play pro baseball using all these words that I don't understand totally taught me. I'm going to embrace all of this. I'm going to come back to the next game perfect.
Yep. I'm going to mentally put it in my brain, and I understand exactly why my hips aren't following through on my swing. Like
it all makes sense now.
Right.
I went to the Holiday Inn Express and watched the YouTube video. That's all it took.
but hey, here's the part, and I don't want to beat up on coaches because I've been a coach multiple times and will continue to be a coach. As parents too, we can't put it all on the coaches. No. They're moms and dads too. Whether they were ex-athletes, maybe they were professional players and they came back and said, "Oh, I'm going to be the coach." I would wonder as a coach, and this just popped into my head as you were saying this, and you think in business you have a 360 review where as the leader you have all of your people do a review on you. Like, what are you good at and what are you bad at? And I'm not saying I would want, as a coach, I would want the parents to say, "Hey, you suck at this and we think you're great at this." But if we're trying to get these kids to improve, maybe us as coaches need to take a little bit of our own medicine and say, okay, what is it that we need to do, and have a strong enough skin to take the criticism on, okay, maybe, you know what, I didn't see it. I'm so buried in what's going on, I don't see some of my actions. And perfect example you just said. Our son plays on a travel baseball team. We have so many games. We don't have one practice. They screw up on the field with fundamentals like, where the ball gets thrown. Hold on, you got a throw from the outfield. Do you hit the cutoff man, or do I have an outfielder that can hurl the ball, and going to the cutoff man is going to take too much time? Like, okay, where's that taught? It's taught in practice. We don't have practices, so it's just repeated. It's, when I say perfect practice makes perfect play, like, if there's no practice, being live in a game is not practice. You don't get better in a game. It's your fundamentals should be there. So that's where I look at it and say, okay, if we expect the kids to go home and practice on their own, or rely on mom and dad to do it, I can't see that they're going to come to the next game and be better. But if we don't have time to practice with the kids as a part of the team, we'll then lower our expectations of what we think is going to happen in the next game. Right. Because conversation is not going to change that kid's athletic ability, nor should you add that stress to them. Like, I told you last week, you're supposed to put your glove down. Like, how many ground balls did you take this week? None. Wow, you really get those muscle memory skills. Like, okay, and if there's no time to practice, I that's where I want to say to all coaches and to all parents, if you didn't practice, you didn't take the time, they're not going to get better based on words.
No. Well, and so this is actually something that going into more coaching, because I plan on being as super active as I possibly can, because I am that guy. Like, I don't want to be on the stands. I want to be involved.
Sure.
When it comes to that stuff, like, I do like criticism, right? Point out what your kid. And like you said, I'm not going to put everything on the coaches. I can't put everything on the coaches. The parents are with the kids the other 23 hours of the day, right, or whatever. That's just an example. But I'm with the kids 1 to 2 hours during the game. I can't see everything. I can't do everything. I get it. Coaches miss stuff all the time, right? But the parents are responsible, if you want your kids to get better, to find a way to help them get better. And I think it's crazy that parents would sit there and yell at their kids and expect them to get better and expect the coach to do everything without giving positive feedback and insight and practicing with the kids at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is insanity. It's the whole, like, expecting things to change,
right,
without changing anything.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so it's not all the coaches. I get it. But as a coach, I would totally take constructive criticism. If you're just going to sit here and, like, just bash me, like, right off, I don't really want to hear it. But, and as a coach and as a trainer of athletes, I love getting the parents involved. Right. And I wish I saw more of this in sports. Like, I'm big on talking to the parents about the stuff that I'm teaching their kids.
Right.
Right. So, like, when I have a kid come into the gym or something, I like to keep the parents informed. I like to give them resources and stuff and information. Like, hey, this is where you can find this. This is what you can do. This is what you guys can practice at home. He knows what he needs to do. I literally just need you to make sure he's doing it.
Right.
That's it. Like, even at that basic level. Right. But there's no communication on that side of things. It's like, who's going to be at the game? Who's not going to be at the game? I'm in the chats. I see. Right. That's it. Right. And that's the most interaction that most coaches have with the parents. So these parents who have no idea what they're doing or saying are also not learning anything to teach their kids what to do. But it's.
I just thought of a business based on that, and maybe this is out there, but YouTube, anyone that's a baseball player or any sport, and again, it's probably out there. There should be videos for parents. This is how you work with your kid in the backyard. Most of them they're on a field or they're in the active play and everything, but it's like, how can I be a better parent with sport?
I feel like there are videos like that.
Are they parent videos or are they coaches videos?
Yeah, I don't think they're geared specifically towards parents, but I mean, I've seen coach videos, trying to teach parents. Well, I'm big on mindset. So there's like a lot of mindset
sure.
videos out there, like how to teach your kid to be more confident and
Right.
visual, all that stuff. The problem is this is the problem that I found, and it's with everything. It's the willingness and the know-how to navigate that stuff, right? Because the one thing we know about YouTube and the internet is there is so much information. There are so many videos. How do you filter through them and figure all that stuff out? So like that's the one thing that I know, like parents get overwhelmed too, trying to do the research and trying to figure out the right drills to do with my kids for which position and for all these different things, right? Like it can be overwhelming trying to navigate the internet and trying to figure all this stuff out, right? Especially if you don't have any experience. Right? Like you don't know what you don't know. And then you're taking somebody's word who you don't know, have any trustful relationship with, and trying to hope that they're teaching you the right things to teach your kids. Right. And so like, yeah, no, for real, like it'd be cool to have like a parent, not a camp, but like a meeting where it's like, okay, I'm going to run you through these drills so that you can teach your kids how to do these drills from firsthand experience. Right. You want to tell them to get the glove on the ground. Let's teach you what that really means. And I'm going to have you do it so that when you teach your kid, you can show them how to do it, not just say, hey, look at this video that I found.
Right.
Totally do what this guy says.
Yep.
Right. And so, it's for me, it's that willingness. It's if you want your kid to get better, do the things that are going to help them get better. If you don't have the time to get them to help them get better, hire somebody to help them get better. If you don't care if they get better and you're just there to socialize, stop fucking yelling at them.
Right. 100%. 100%.
And just let them play.
And here's another reality, and we'll hopefully we'll end on this.
Yeah, because I gotta go.
The genetics is a key factor.
It's pretty important.
And I'm not talking about skill, but there's the psycho parents out there that believe their kid's going D1, that their kid's going to be in the NFL, that their kid's going to be this. And if you look across all their family members that show up, they're 5'7", 5'9", 5'2", in a sport like a football, where size matters.
Size matters.
And your son is never going to be bigger than 5'9". Let's say he bulks up and he's 5'9", he's 200 pounds, and he's rocked. He's solid. He's still not going D1 unless he is the star of stars. So relax. Let him enjoy his youth. And if you think you can push him to excel, that he may maybe walk on at a D1, that's great. But realize there are certain factors that are going to be held against him that he's not even going to get a look. Stop putting all the pressure.
Well, he's not going to get a look until high school.
Right, until high school.
Right, so the fact that we're worried about it when he's 8, 9, 10 years old is insane, right? If you get to the point where you want a D1 athlete in high school, he's only 5'9", he's going to have to bust his butt.
Right.
And that's fine, right? I'm all for that. I don't care what the statistics are. If a kid wants to go pro and he works hard enough, I don't care. Work your butt off.
Yeah, work your butt off.
Try to get there.
But if 70% of kids quit by the time they're 13, I don't know if they quit because of them or they quit because of you, parents, or you, coaches. I have to say it's a big, happy pie of shit.
Oh, yeah.
That the pressure alone says, yeah, I've had enough. I'm done. Dad, don't make me a D1 player. I'm 9. I just wanted to go out and play with my buddies. Like, okay, I know I can't throw it faster than Timmy, but I throw it pretty well. Like, I don't want to throw it that hard, Dad. Like, relax. Like, okay. So I can go on and on. But
dude, yeah,
let's
forever.
do this. Let's end on a kind of a culmination of events here. So we have what we like to pull off and make a little fun of here is youth sports. What's it all about? Is it about the fun and the camaraderie of learning to be with the team or as an individual and excel? Or is it about winning at all costs and coaches only playing the best kids and parents yelling at their kids because they need to do better or just yelling in general at referees or umpires or whatever, or yelling at each other to fight? In sports, have we lost our mind with creating the next LeBron James and Tom Brady's and everything at the expense of our child that just doesn't give a shit, that just wants to go out and have some fun and enjoy what he can with his buddies? I think we need to relax. I think we need to
just a little bit
let our kids figure out what is the next level. And if you see it in them, continue that spark. And if they don't and they just want to have fun, we'll continue that spark. Stop being such a freaking psycho about it. Mom, dad, coaches, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
Enjoy your child, push them. If they have the skill level, go to the next level, get them the support, get them the training, go to do those things, but fucking relax, enjoy. Any other thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to, I also really have to pee. So,
okay. That's too much coffee in the morning.
Hey, so I'm going to end. I'm good. But this literally is one of those topics that we could just go on and on about. So what I would like to encourage everybody to do is, after you're listening to this, is make sure they go on and leave some other thoughts, because this is one of those things that could lead into future episodes if it's really a thing, right? If somebody has more experience with this that we could address and kind of just point out and call out and continue on, but we don't know that unless you leave comments and tell us what's going on through your head so that we can talk about it and maybe call you out instead of just making stuff up, right? No, from personal experience. So leave a comment, make sure you subscribe, do all that fun stuff, right? Because
that's what we get.
This is for you.
Guys, it's been fun. Have a great day.
See ya.